Morning, possibly. I think there were a few sore heads around. The President, Ron Cook, isn't exactly sounding 100% today. He has some voice, and he's just hoping that will carry him through. You can hear a band playing in the background. As I said, the celebrations are just starting to get underway here on a pleasant Sunday morning, if a rather cool one. I've got two guys here that played a very big part, big being the operative word, in yesterday's match. The two Michaels will start in alphabetical order with Michael Byrne. Michael, how did it feel, your first grand final?
Tremendous feeling, Peter. Feels a lot better now. It's sunk in. The atmosphere, they say it's indescribable, and it is really. It's something that that's for the reason we play footy, and now knowing what it's like, it'll give you that hunger a little bit more.
I guess you, along with everybody else, expected the match to be a lot closer, but I suppose it didn't really worry you being ahead by, 10 goals or so most of the game.
No, well, that's right. We expected to be a lot closer, and I think Yabby told us yesterday to run hard, tackle. The team that runs harder and tackles will win, and we just kept it up, and we just had to do it bit by bit, and we stuck at it, and it paid off. Where
did you play yourself? Most was in the forward pocket?
Yeah, I started off at full forward, and then got shifted to the pocket in the second quarter.
You missed most, not most of the year, but about 10 games, I think, with a knee injury this year.
That's right. Yeah, it wasn't a serious knee injury, but didn't require any major surgery, so I was able to overcome that.
You were one of 5 players named as a possible interchange player. I guess the fingers were kept crossed until Jeansy gave you a call.
Yeah, most people do a rain dance. I was doing a sun dance.
Well, the other Michael is, of course, Michael McCarthy, and you were telling me beforehand this is the first time you've actually been on World of Sport.
Well, it's the first time I've been asked to come on World of Sport. This is greater thrill than even winning yesterday, I think.
Is it a legacy from yesterday, the nose? How did that happen?
Oh, I think it might have been from last night.
Oh, was it? Well, you, of course, double as a cricketer. You are a bowler for Melbourne. What is your first priority now, football or cricket?
I think after winning this premiership, I think football will have to be.
Insofar as your cricket is concerned, what are you going to do? You going to take a break, or?
Oh, I think Bob Lloyd, our Melbourne coach, who's formerly the state squad coach, he's wants me back in action next week, but I think I'll have to tell him I'm not in form at the moment.
Alan Jeans gave you a very hard task yesterday to take on Roger Merritt, who had been virtually the player of the finals. Now, have you played in defence at all this year?
Well, this year I haven't played in defence, but I wasn't surprised that I got the job at centre-half back on Merritt yesterday. We needed a bit of height in defence, and I formerly used to play in defence early when I first came to Hawthorn. So I've been sort of a bits a man, playing forward or back or wherever they need me, and I was pretty rapt to get the job on such a big player.
Michael, your form this year has shown a marked improvement. Why?
Last year I had a knee operation, and I think when you've been out of action for the whole 12 months virtually, it makes you pretty desperate to play football.
Okay, well, congratulations on a great effort yesterday. Unfortunately, Lou isn't going to come up behind us with the goodies. Maybe next time.
Thanks.
Well done, Michael. The two Michaels, Michael Byrne and Michael McCarthy, here at the Hawthorn Pleasant Sunday morning, and we'll be back a little bit later on.
Yes, Peter, we'll keep in touch with you out there, and we'll be crossing back as the action continues at Glenferrie Oval. We'll be back in just a moment with the first of our presentations, and then we'll be looking for some Mazda footy highlights. 1983 grand final by Neville Nash.
Neville Nash comes in to bounce the ball for the start of the 1983 grand final from Melbourne Cricket Ground between Hawthorn and Essendon.
And then a step aside, because here come the Hawks. Knights, Matthews.
And spoil each other. Knights again gets shirt fronted. Too high, says the umpire, but the free kick, down goes Kevin Smith.
And down goes Kevin Smith as well. Everybody's down.
Kick the Knights or Carey.
Early days here as Buckenara is in trouble in the first few minutes of the game. It's to his feet, but he's obviously in great distress. Tries to take his kick.
Oh, down he goes. He's in all sorts of trouble, Buckenara. What a blow for Hawthorn. Matthews now.
Hawks are on the move. First blood, Eade to Loveridge. In close, makes no mistake. A great tackle here by O'Halloran as he grabs Williams. Kennedy swoops in and goals.
There's a wonderful piece of play there by David O'Halloran.
Watson goes down. Who did that? And away they go. There's Robertson and Wood wrestling away there.
And Watson's still in the hands of the trainers. Out to Brereton.
Carey gets Wallace right on the button.
Snapshot is off target. Free kick to Wallace. He's out. I think he got him right on the chin.
29 minutes into the first quarter, Ezzard takes it off the pack for a great snap for Essendon.
He's got it. So they bounce back the ball. 29 minutes gone.
Centre field.
Loose ball for Hawker to chase.
Second quarter, 4 minutes in. And the Bombers show a bit of style here as Hawker gets it to Hazard.
Who's already kicked the goal. Underground pass to Van der Haar.
Long pass to Danaher and goal.
38 to Western.
And he flashes the Hawks movement with Loveridge to Green, who dashes on.
Pass to Green. He's been a pretty quiet player so far. A hand pass out to Schwab.
Schwab takes the ball.
Long over the centre half forward.
Matthews.
Matthews steps the ball down.
Knocks the ball down to Tuck.
Has a pot shot at the goals. Will it make it?
And it's a goal. Now look at this effort by a great player. Matthews, look at the mark.
From the skipper,
and he's getting old. He's about 33 years of age. I don't know how he got up that high.
Good kick from Wallace.
Minute into the third quarter. Hurd tries the one-hander. Matthews steals it, however. Away he goes and makes no mistake.
Lethal's done it.
The Bombers crumble. Mew steals it, sets up the play here for Kennedy to Eade and then to Wallace.
Mew gets it over to Kennedy. Kennedy short. Eade on centre wing.
They're breaking away clear now as the ball goes over there to Wallace from Eade at half ball. This looks dangerous. A long shot at goal up there to Burnham. Miles, he's put it through. A magnificent goal. And what a bath the Bombers are getting at the moment. I don't think I've seen a side fall to pieces so much as Essendon having the...
Here's the real player of the day. Robertson to Wallace to Matthews. Showing plenty of class here.
That was guts. Wallace up to Matthews. He picks it up. Yes. And the mark played to the Hawthorn skipper.
They were obviously a few
Well, three-quarter time, and a lot of the Essendon supporters were looking for the early train home.
In front of Simon Madden. As a matter of fact, Bob, he's tried pretty hard all day.
Madden marks. Hand passes to Loveridge, however.
And there we see Loveridge firing the goal.
And pays the penalty.
He's put it through, he has. There's the goal. So he's got the mark about 25 metres out from goal. Gene's on the ball. Don't tell me he's worried at this stage of the match.
Goals, goes down hard.
By O'Halloran. Well, he's flat.
With the two flags up, helps ease the pain.
Playing down there on the forward line, Bob, I'm not sure. So it's 19 goals, 20, 134. Hawthorn to Western, 7 goals, 749. We see the
final siren. And it's the Hawks pennant for 1983.
There's their coach, Alan Jeans, and what a happy man. It couldn't have happened to a nicer guy.
Our Mazda Footy Highlights $400 award. Lee Matthews, our highlight player of the day. And won, or if you're from the other point of view, it's been played and lost. What's your overview of the game?
Well, let's say, first of all, congratulations to Hawthorn. They thoroughly deserved their win. There's no doubt about that. They played superb football yesterday all over the ground. They took the initiative from the very first bounce. Their defence was superb, led by Kennedy and Robertson. They started every attack. And, of course, they had great assistance from Mew and McCarthy, and O'Halloran supplied the muscle. And we must say this to McCarthy too, that he had Merritt well covered, and of course Mew against Danaher was a good move too. And we must say this too also, Ron, that in attack we found that this fella here did some reasonably good things too throughout the game, like most of the players. But there's no doubt the star of their forward line was Lee Matthews, possibly the oldest player on the ground. And of course Matthews, the older he gets, the better he gets, and the more constructive he is. And of course he set them alight with 6 goals, and it was a bit unfortunate he kicked, I think, 6-5 and could have easily created a record in a grand final. Of course, I just felt that Essendon erred. They should have put Ron Andrews in the 20, because the moment they lost their 4 tough players, the players that have set them up for the last 4 weeks, particularly in the finals, the other players came back to their normal size, and they didn't have the vigour that we expected from Essendon. It was a disappointing display. As a matter of fact, it's one of the worst performances I've seen in a grand final for many, many years, and that includes some of Collingwood's debacles too.
Lou, I thought one real move was Nagel got right on top in that second quarter. It was a great move by Jeans to bring Peter Domenico on and put him straight onto Nagel.
That's right, and of course you notice that Jeans had a set plan. We must give full marks to Jeans. There's no fuss about his coaching, but he had a set plan. He had Mew and McCarthy and players picked out for different players, and the moment they moved somewhere else, he found out that they went with those players.
How did you vote on yesterday's game, Luke?
Well, I gave, it was a difficult one, because you could have even given 6 or 7 players in the Hawthorn lineup a vote. I thought that Lee Matthews played a superb game, kicking 6 goals, and he was the master of this side. A great leader and a very inspiring player. I gave 2 votes to Robertson. He was the running player from the back line, and of course he created many attacks, or started many attacks for Hawthorn. But I thought that the fellow that played the game of his life, the best game on the ground, the best game I've seen him play, was young Kennedy. And I think his dad, John Kennedy, one of their great coaches of the past, would have been very proud of the son's performance yesterday.
Okay, we'll be back to talk about ruck play with Peter Keenan in just a moment.
Ron, but Hawthorn players capitalised on him. Madden tended not to get it to his players, and overall, I suppose Payton was put in there for the simple reason he was there to stop Madden from really getting a clear shot at these Rovers. But and he did it. That was the first knockout of the day, and Payton got it. But after that, Madden started to get on top and bash the ball. But Hawthorn always usually ended up with it. And Matthews, even at one stage there, was going to go back and take the into the centre. But Byrne tried very hard for a left-hander and worked well. Whereas it didn't have any bearing on the game at all. I didn't think the Rucks, because they took a couple of marks between them and struggled. But yes, Peter, what's wrong?
The fact that Madden dominated the ruck, yet Hawthorn kept taking away, does that mean that the knock ruckman doesn't matter in football these days?
Well, but it proved yesterday he really didn't need a knock ruckman, because every time the ball went up, a Hawthorn player sharked the ball or was neutral, and it was a hard thing to say that, and we might be redundant.
What about being a bit versatile, hitting back over you or something like that, and bringing the ruckman back? He just pelted it down the ground all the time.
Yeah, well, that's the job of the ruck coach at the particular club to teach his players to do that. And I've worked in the under-19s this year with our blokes.
Who coaches them up there?
Who does that?
It is no good trying to tap the ball down to players that are just not on the game. His idea from the halfway through that first quarter was to hit it as far as he could down to their forward line, because it was patently obvious as the game wore on. It was patently obvious that there was no...
I didn't know. I'm sorry, Sam. I didn't know you coached him.
I just thought it was sort of worth mentioning, Sam. But overall, I would say that Payton virtually did a great job in the ruck, because he bullocked around the ground and gave, I would say, the Hawthorn little blokes a real go.
Look, I'm a great admirer of Payton's, but Madden played a magnificent game in the ruck. He was absolutely superior in the ruck all day, and he hit the ball. It's no good trying to finesse the ball down when the 18 other players are just not with it, and they were too mentally stale, and they were Hawthorn were too fresh in mind. Hawthorn were too fresh in mind and limb, and to try and hit the ball down to players that were just never in the game.
Don't you palm it anymore?
Wouldn't have been worth a try.
Look, if you listen to what I say, if you try and get the ball as far down to your forward line from the centre dominance, because there was no one taking it out of the centre, as Peter, the only accurate thing he said, they sharked the ball. And he was completely dominant in the ruck, Madden. If you don't say that, well, you weren't there.
I agree if he was dominant in the ruck, but how many kicks, when the game was there to be won or lost in the second and third quarter, how many, and Madden is a great marker around the ground and a great kick getter around the ground, how many kicks did he get?
Look, oh, you're going to ask the question and answer it.
Well, he's done that for you.
No, you are singling a player out. The side was comprehensively beaten for the whole day, and you're starting to say how many kicks did he get round the ground. I thought he did a great job, Madden, yesterday under extreme adversity.
Your votes for yesterday's game, Peter?
Yes, I gave one vote. I gave one vote to John Kennedy, who worked hard in the half back line, a lot of run off him, and he played on Rene Kink and shut him out of the game all day. And I gave 2 votes to Colin Robertson for the job he did, and tagging, and 3 votes to Chris Mew, who started it all, because he played on Terry Danaher, and he's the key, and he cut the key out and went on to be a great player and best in the ground as far as I know.
Well, we'll hear the other side of the story in just a moment.
Richard Loveridge has been one of the bonuses of the Hawthorn side. During the year he was ill and had some lung trouble, and in the last couple of weeks he's right back to his top form, and Loveridge was easily the best rover on the ground yesterday. Around the packs he had support from Tuck, of course, and Tuck was virtually a rover yesterday, because Colin Robertson did the ruck roving job when he was told to pick up Timmy Watson, and went everywhere that Watson went. That move, of course, was extremely successful, because Robertson was amongst the best 3 players on the ground, and his constructive play with his handball and everything else brought other players into it. But I felt felt that Hawthorn went in there with a definite plan. They expected the fact that Madden was going to get the knockouts, and Hawthorn right around the ground rove to Madden, and they worked their plan to that accordingly. And I felt that Essendon did not have any plan. At no stage did they try and change and tap the ball over the back. There seemed to be no cohesion between Bahaja and Ezard and these smaller players with Simon Madden. I agree that Madden was Essendon's best player. But when you're going down and you're being beaten as badly as that, you have to try something different. And we saw Madden there, and I really felt sorry for Madden with those 2 handballs that he gave out. And I hope after the game, Richard Loveridge did say thank you for that one that came out on that occasion. But as I said before, Loveridge did well. Bahaja, as usual, tried hard. I felt that Ezard, inexperience, probably told. And you do need that finals experience, and well, they got some of it yesterday.
But Bob, you say Madden would try something different if they're getting beaten, but that's exactly why he did those handballs. He tried to get the game going, and under pressure he lost his control a bit because he tried to inject some different flavour into the game, and he made those errors because of it.
Well, the handball side of it is being done by everybody in the game, but as far as the actual ruck work is concerned, if the knock down the centre is not coming off, surely you've got to work in with your rover, change the game a little bit, and rover, whatever it is.
Bob, what's happened to the ruckman that used to do this and that, or better still, go like that and like that? Why couldn't Matt have done that a couple of times yesterday? Because he had control of the ruck. There's a lack of thinking somewhere, isn't there?
You could not be critical of the endeavour put in by Simon Madden. He tried his heart out yesterday, but between the whole Essendon side, Sheedy did throw them around a fair bit. In fact, up to 10 minutes into the second quarter, only Walsh was still on his original opponent. So he did try things, but they were just outfoxed all over the field.
Your votes for yesterday's game?
I thought Lee Matthews played a great game too. I just couldn't quite slip him in, but I thought Rodney Eade, around the ground, every time he got the ball, Hawthorn finished up getting it. Colin Robertson really did the job that was asked of him, was magnificent. But in the first quarter, when the game was really there to be won, I thought that John Kennedy across the half-back line, he even finished up kicking a goal, and he certainly played a magnificent game.
OK, we'll be back to ask Bob Davis about the centre lines in just a moment.
Round paves the way to success, and yesterday was no exception, of course, with Eade, Wallace and Schwab, who played extremely well for Hawthorn all of the game. Wallace, I thought, played an extremely fine game. He took the ball away, he was in the packs all the time, and he seemed to follow it up. Even if he missed the ball the first time, we'll probably see an example of him a little bit later on that I'll pick out to you. But Eade, that's Wallace taking the ball away there now, getting it up to the forward line. Some people say he does play a bit short, but he seems to look where he's going. Nagel started to get the ball quite well, actually, and I thought he could have been in for a great day, but unfortunately Jeans had the answer for him. He put DPR Domenico onto him very quickly, and he seemed to slot Nagel out the game a little bit, although Nagel didn't have the time that he normally has to do the clever things that he does, because he is a very accomplished player. I thought that Wood, unfortunately, probably with the spell, this is Kennedy there taking the ball away in green, but Rodney Eade, there's Eade did extremely well, and Eade now kicks the ball very well to position all the time. See, this is Wallace taking the ball away, playing it up a little bit further, and really the Essendon centre line had a couple of flat spots in it. Wood really didn't do much with it at all. Nagel, after a promising start, seemed to drop right out of the game, and while Hawker played very well at times and got possession, he really had nowhere to play the ball to, whereas Eade, Wallace and Schwab always had someone to play the position to. And I think that is the biggest difference between the two sides, that the Hawthorn side, even though they were under pressure from the centre line, were able to play it to someone and play it very quickly.
Would you have played Wood or Donnell?
Well, I suppose the Essendon camp really brought Kink and Wood for finals experience, and unfortunately both of them didn't do well yesterday.
Well, who would you have?
Well, Wood, if he was fit, I suppose, had played very well in earlier games, and you would have to look at him. Donnell is a lightly framed player. I think he played reasonably well in the reserves, Donnell, but that's a gamble that the coach had to take with them, but unfortunately it didn't work out because of the superiority of Eade, Wallace and Schwab. They all played extremely well.
Your votes for yesterday's game, Bob?
I gave one vote to Russell Green, who I thought did a magnificent job all day, played the ball down well. I gave 2 votes to Colin Robertson, who certainly started the Hawthorn game and kept going at it all day, and I gave 3 votes to Terry Wallace, who I thought completely dominated the area that he was supposed to, kept the ball in good supply for Hawthorn all the time, even when they were against the win in the second quarter and they had to really make up for what was shockingly inaccurate first quarter. I thought he provided that drive extremely well.
Right, Bob, Peter McKenna talks about the attacks in just a moment.
A bit of trouble with the height of that Essendon forward line, but it certainly didn't prove that way. I think that the moves that Alan Jeans made, putting McCarthy down to centre half back, he had that extra height to play on Merritt, and in fact took Merritt right out of the game, and I think that made a big difference to the Essendon forward line, because Merritt's been able to take over at centre half forward in those other games, and I felt the Essendon half forward line fell down very badly yesterday. Rene Kink was well beaten by John Kennedy. Van der Haar, of course, was well held by O'Halloran, playing him close. When Watson went down there, Robertson covered him all over the ground, and of course Terry Danaher, when the ball did get down to full forward, Chris Muir was playing a great defensive game on him. Their attack was built round Danaher, trying to look for him all the time, but of course Muir was playing him close. Down the other end of the ground, of course, there's Swab getting the ball down to the Hawthorn forward line. This made it a lot easier for the Hawthorn forwards. There's Matthews getting it out to Tuck, and Tuck, he sneaks down to that forward line, and look at that, he bounces one through for a goal. But Buckenara, they lost him early, and that looked as though it might be dangerous for the Hawthorn side, but good coaching was to put Judge on the bench before the game, and he came on. He's not one of those tear in and knock him over types, but he's got a bit of class, a little bit like Buckenara. There's Dippy. I thought Di Domenico was sensational yesterday. His team spirit came on the ground, livened him up, and came off again and tapped his teammate on the head as he went back on, as if to say, get out and you do your job now, and he was fantastic. Great coaching too by Alan Jeans with, there's Merritt going down. He didn't have a kick, elected to give it over there to Weston, who ran down the ground, but great coaching by Jeans to put Knights. He started off right out in the half-forward flank, almost on the boundary line, and when the pack developed, he ran in and went for those big flying marks. Matthews was magnificent up in the full forward or forward pocket, whatever you want to call him. There's Peter Knights taking one of his great marks, and he's got a new lease of life. But getting back to Matthews, with his strength and his great goal-kicking ability, there's Judge. Great overhead for a player who's not a tall player. Byrne did fairly well when he went down there to full forward, took a couple of good marks, but overall they had, and Dermot Brereton, I want to mention him too, because he was sensational early.
Peter, when Wallace got knocked down in that pocket, do you think when Matthews kicked the goal that might have been planned?
Well, not the
knockdown, but...
Well, I'm pretty sure Terry Wallace could have taken that kick, because straight after Matthews kicked the goal, up went Terry Wallace into the centre with his chest stuck out, and no doubt that I reckon that was a bit of a con job, because that was the start of Lee Matthews, of course, coming good. He kicked the goal,
that's right.
And for the rest of the game, 5 more goals.
How did you vote for yesterday's game, Peter?
Well, I voted one to Lethal Lee and up at full forward or forward pocket, whatever you want to call it. I reckon 6 goals in a grand final. Missed 5 shots, and his strength, and oh boy, he had a real dip, and certainly was a thorn in the side of Essendon. 2 votes to Colin Robertson. Not only did he defend, he attacked. It was a magnificent game by Colin Robertson. 3 votes, I agree with Lou. I went for John Kennedy. He played Rene Kink very, very close. He attacked, and it's one of the best games I've ever seen John Kennedy put in.
Okay, we'll be back to talking.
In mind and limb for Essendon yesterday, and therefore the job was made relatively easy when you take into consideration that Hawthorn had no pressure on them at all at either end of the ground. And they had an uncanny ability, the Hawthorn backline, led by Kennedy, Mew, O'Halloran and McCarthy, to change the direction of play. There's Green, who played a magnificent game out of the half-back line. They had the uncanny ability to switch the play from each side of the ground, and they did it with ease. On the other hand, the Essendon side, I really felt just lacked concentration. You can go into all the post-mortems about this game, and it gets down to the fact that they were tired. They were up against a far fresher side, and as a result, Essendon's concentration was at a very low ebb, and that is why they were allowed their opponents to run right. If I could just say, and I know I'm speaking now, there's Peter Knights.
They were tired last week when you made your statement about Essendon?
No, of course
they get tired over the week, did they?
My word, they did. If you've ever played in 4 finals in a row and tried to win a grand final, in your lifetime, you'll never see a 4th or 5th side win the premiership, because it is an impossible task.
Well, you were pretty adamant about their form last week.
I was adamant about their form last week, and it was magnificent, and that's what took it out of them. The half-back line, as I said, the back line for Hawthorn, as I said yesterday, they ran in 2s and 3s, they backed up, they did the things that don't get statistics, they shepherded, they talked, they hand passed the ball out, they scrambled, and I just thought it was a superior display. You can't say anything more about it. Essendon were very shaky on all lines, and particularly their half-back line. Like, I just want to say, Ron, I know this is not my area, but I mean, it amazes me how you can sit up there and say that Simon Madden, when Bob Skilton said that Loveridge was the best rover on the ground. Bob Davis gave Eden, Wallace and Robertson a vote for across the centre. So there are the 4 top players on the ground in the centre, and you're talking about Madden trying to palm the ball down to a winning square, a winning set of players in the square. The only alternative he had was to punch the ball as far and as often as he could down towards the forward line of Essendon.
To a losing forward line.
Pardon?
To a losing forward line.
Well, isn't it better to get distance rather than to be
Sometimes it's better to grab the ball, isn't it?
Now, that is just another point I'd like to pick up. And
you've
when Farmer grabbed the ball out of the air, you were in those days allowed, there was no line, there was no square around the ground, you were allowed to move in and put your knee into someone and get the ride and take the ball. They have cut that out of football.
What about the boundary throw-ins?
Yeah, what about the boundary throw-ins?
Well, you're talking about the centre circle.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
I'm talking about the boundary throw-ins.
Well, no, I'm just talking about getting the ball out of the centre. That's what you said, and he was completely dominant in that regard. And it's no good talking about days gone by because the rules have changed and to cut that very thing out.
Do you agree with that line or not?
Pardon?
Do you agree with the line?
I do agree with the line.
Your votes for yesterday's game, John?
Where'd the little winches
go? Now, I nearly gave Madden a vote for... The only reason I didn't give him a vote, to be honest, was because if I did, you'd say that I'm the coach down there. And that is nearly gave him one vote, but I gave one to Wallace, who was supreme, as all the other commentators have said. Green was magnificent on the half-back line. I thought the man who inspired Hawthorn and has done so over the year, considering everything he's gone through, is Peter Knights, and I thought he was magnificent yesterday and a great effort by a champion footballer.
Right, we'll be back to talk with Jack Dyer about what might have happened.
As far as the battle of tactics is concerned.
What are you doing tactics for?
Oh, because I know all about the game. I was a losing coach many times, and he did have a big advantage, I would say, with Jeans too, because they had to declare their hand, Essendon, because they had the reserves playing in the ones they had on the reserve bench. They had them playing in the reserve 18, so he knew exactly what team was going to front up for the Essendon side, so he could place his men around beautifully, which he did.
Talking about the reserves, would you have played Andrews?
Well, yes, I'd have put him on about. I'm coming back to that, because that's a bit of Sheedy's bad luck there. His tactics luck went out when he couldn't play Duckworth, and he didn't play Andrews. He should have sat him on the bench, and also Donnell. He should have played those 3 players because they're the ones that put him. Well, he couldn't play Duckworth, but they were the fellas that put him into the grand final, and they should have kept going with them. But back to the tactics again. Allowed Jeans to put a few young players around, spread them around the ground, which he did at that stage. Mew was on Danaher, and I think that's for the great move, but he got a lot of help off O'Halloran too in the back pocket, and it was well thought out, that one indeed. Ayres, of course, was doing his job there in the other back pocket, and of course we had another one going there was McCarthy onto Merritt. Well, it took a lot of thinking out, I think, that one too, because it was a big gamble, and they put this kid in, but once again he got beautiful assistance from the 2 half-back flankers, and Eden also from Kennedy in particular, so that was good tactics, I thought, and they all came off. But the other one I liked better than anything was when Nagel got on top and he brought DePirio Domenico onto the ground. Now he's got more enthusiasm than the whole Essendon side, that fellow, and he really shot him right up in the air again.
Jack, I seem to be the only person here that thought Watson went on to Matthews at the start of the game. And I thought that was rather a defensive tactic, and apparently no one else seems to think that Watson started off on
I think he went down there and spoke to him and come away again, because Carey went on to him down there. I thought that he did go down and have a chat to him and then came away after that, and Carey went on.
I'll bet you he played on Matthews down there for the first 5 minutes of the game.
Robertson went onto Watson. I thought as soon as the game was started, he went on to Watson and did a great job. As a matter of fact, he lowered his confidence that much that he could go on and play his own game.
Sam, do you think that sides can't play.
I'm doing the tactics, not
Jack,
ask me, don't ask Sam.
Uncle John, can I ask you this?
Yes, right.
You think that a side that comes from fourth to play sort of 4 finals can win the grand final?
They can do it if they're good enough
We
now.
played 5 and 77.
See, I told you all last week that Essendon was playing above themselves.
We did it 5. We played 5 finals and won the last premiership. I don't think we were tied.
Yeah, well, Lou's just answered that. You've got to examine the side you're playing. You're playing Collingwood.
You know, in the history of the game, there only been 4 come from 4th, 2 come from 3rd, and not 1 come from 5th.
Hey, Jack's on tactics.
Well, this is not tactics. I'm just giving some memorabilia.
This is information.
Because they're usually the 4th or 5th.
And let's get on to another one too. They swung Knights across from the centre half forward position over to the half forward flank position and got him onto Bradbury, which was a great move by Jeans, because Knights knows all about the game and Bradbury's just learning the game. And then he had a winning side with him and he became a star as it went on. All these things happened for Jeans and nothing happened for poor old Sheedy at all. He lost the run of the ball.
What did you think of Sheedy putting Watson on Matthews at the start of the game?
I said he didn't go on. He just went down and said hello to him and came away.
Jack, now what would have been your tactics if you'd have been the coach of Essendon?
Well, I'd have done Donnell playing when you've got a
No,
kid.
not that. You said some other things to me quietly.
Well, they never changed the spot.
Oh, they didn't.
They never changed their spot.
Votes for yesterday's game, Jack.
Oh, wait, I've got a lovely lot of tactics yet.
Jack,
what other ones?
Jack, congratulations. That's the best tactics I've ever heard in my life,
half of
mate.
you fellas have been all the time, but if they're not playing, so I know, like in a football side, I think anyone's coached a side must know that when a side goes that badly, it's hard to do anything at all. You can't adjust. Well, they've got on top of you, your confidence is going down the chute, and you haven't got those experienced players there. But I gave 1 point to Kennedy. I thought his first half was absolutely brilliant. How he played like it, I don't know. Robertson, well, you had to give it to Robertson because he's had a little finger on him for the whole year, this fella, and he certainly answered a few questions yesterday, I thought, with a bit of pace and also a bit of aggression here and there along the line, and a great game by Robertson. And my man was the one that won the match, and that was Matthews. How far the cherry, this fella. Like, I don't know whether he's improving, this fella, but I think the other blokes are deteriorating. I'm terribly sorry to take that away from him, because Matthews covered the waterfront down there.
The waterfront?
Yeah, well, whatever it was. And he
dominated his area,
He
Jack.
dominated this area down there. He showed them how to play the game, what you do, how to look after players, how to bring players into the game. He did everything you expect the champion to do yesterday. And it was a marvellous performance. To kick 6 goals in the grand final, it's not done too much at all in the finals. And
Who did you give your best player to?
I thought it was Matthews.
You like Lee Matthews, didn't you, Jack?
I love him. He would be the first player you'd ever pick in a football side. Like if you walked in, well, not now, of course, because he's nearly 32 or something. I don't know what he is.
Oh, you'd still pick him now.
I think I might have a nibble at him too. But if you want to win premierships,
Right, let's see how the tallies came up for our World Sport commentators on yesterday's grand final. 12 votes to Robertson, 11 to Kennedy, 5 to Matthews, 4 to Wallace, 3 to Green, 3 to Knights, 3 to Mew, and 1 to Eade. He got 3 votes, 3 2 votes, and one vote. And Terry Wallace, at the moment, is not in the studio, but we're able to link through our facility to Glenferrie Oval, where things are still happening out there. And Ted, would you make the presentation of $3,000 to Hawthorn's Terry Wallace?
Good morning, Terry.
G'day, Ted, how you going?
Well, first, congratulations to you and your club on a magnificent win in the grand final yesterday. Added a salute to Hawthorn Football Club and also Essendon for trying as hard as they possibly could. Terry, $3,000 from Adidas comes your way, running second in the World of Sport Adidas Award. Congratulations, you had a wonderful year, you made the stateside, you won the premiership flag, and that's not a bad mouse you got there. Did you feel it last night?
I actually got it sometime during the day yesterday.
You don't feel it when you win, do you?
No, that's for sure, Ted. I didn't see the number of the truck that hit me, actually. So.
Well, congratulations anyway, Terry, $3,000 coming your way from Adidas on a wonderful year.
Thanks very much, Ted. I'd just like to thank Adidas and World of Sport and the commentators for voting for me. It's a magnificent thing to be able to be recognised like that. And just to the rest of the guys at the Hawthorn Football Club, because I couldn't have won the award without their help and support throughout the year. Thank you.
Well done, Terry Wallace from Hawthorn.
Thank you.
Now, the first prize The award is for 17 votes to Greg Burns of St Kilda. He polled 2 3 votes, 5 2 votes and 1 vote. $10,000 from the World of Sport Adidas Award to St Kilda's champion, Greg Burns.
Well, congratulations, Greg, on being the winner of the Adidas Award, and only 1 vote in the Brownlow medal. But the boys here at World of Sport certainly thought a lot more of you than the umpires did in making you the first place getter, $10,000 from Adidas. Greg again had a wonderful year with the St Kilda Football Club in the centre. He made the state squad at one particular stage, and the St Kilda Football Club certainly improved. We look forward, Greg, to seeing better football from you again next year, and all the very best, and hope that St Kilda can be up there in the finals like Essendon and Hawthorn were yesterday.
Thanks, Ted. I'd just like to thank Adidas for the $10,000 award. I'm sure that I'll put that to good use. Also, I'd like to thank World of Sport and Channel 7, and especially the commentators. I was just a bit lucky that the umpires weren't here to give the vote. Thanks very much.
Well done, Greg.
Well done, Greg, and congratulations from all of us here at World of Sport. Teddy, thanks for Adidas's association through the season. It's been a great year of football, and it's great to have you here with World of Sport once again.
Thanks, Ronnie.
And the winner of the World of Sport Adidas $10,000 award, Greg Burns of St Kilda. 2 premiership sides. The first back in 1966 was St Kilda's first, and apart from that, the win made the record books as the closest in league history. Yesterday, some 17 years later, he took Hawthorn to their 5th flag, and the margin of 83 points was the largest in league history. For Senior Sergeant Alan Jeans, it was his 409th senior game as a VFL coach, and a triumph to his persistence, dedication and faith. Yes, he was smiling last night, even cracking the odd gag, but he was among close friends. The men who had followed his instructions, believed in his methods and carried the Jeans style of football to the 1983 flag. Today on World of Sport, we welcome Alan. He's certainly no stranger to us or to you. But today, Yabby Jeans is our Sportsman of the Week, and we'll be with him in just a moment. Alan, you're quoted as saying, and I'm certain it's an accurate quote, "It's never been my desire to be the best coach in the business. I just wanted to coach the best side."
Well, yes, that's right.
Does that summarise your philosophy of football?
Oh, yes, and I think that's the objective of every coach, I think it is. If you want to coach the best side, well, you've got to win a premiership, and that's always been my objective, and fortunately enough, I've been on 2 occasions, and, you know, particularly yesterday, I suppose it was a special day because it was a group of people and they dedicated themselves and they worked so hard, and everything just fell in place for us yesterday, and for our lesson, and everything seemed to go wrong, and you know, I'm just grateful that I happen to be the lucky one.
You are the senior coach in terms of years now, not only in performance in 1983. It's been a long time. It's your 19th year as coach, 407 league games. You've seen the game change a lot. Yes. And coaches contribute to the changing pattern of football. What do you think's been the most significant change in the game during the period that you've been coaching football?
Well, I think the rules have allowed the game to flow a lot, and the ball moves a lot quicker now. I think we've got to be careful, though, in some of the rules we change. Well, it was very pleasing for Hawthorn and myself yesterday to win by such a great margin. I think it's not a great spectacle for people. People go to our game to watch a contest. One of the principles of our game is one man against one man, and wherever the ball lands there's always and should be a contest. But because of the rules changing and the ball flows so quickly now that we break up that contest so easily, and one side can get on top of the other, and you know, half-time, three-quarter time, the game can be all over. Where in the old days, when the rules were a bit different and it was much harder to win by that margin, the people seem to enjoy the game. I think I go back to the North Melbourne game this year. It was a fierce contest all day where the ball landed, and I think it was one of the most enjoyable games from our point of view, and I think from the spectators' point of view. So we have to be careful when we start talking about changing some of the rules.
Alan, looking back on the season, the premiership yesterday, of course it starts a long way back. When did you think in your own heart of hearts that Hawthorn could win the premiership this year? Was there any particular point during the year that you wouldn't probably admit, knowing you wouldn't admit it to anybody, but you must have thought yourself some stage through the year, this is not a bad side, I think we can win the premiership? Was there any match that gave you that thought?
Well, I think it goes back a little bit further than that. I think when I first went to Hawthorn...
1981.
1981, I sat down with those selectors that the first night in the match committee, and I said, select your best side with everybody available. And I was just new to the club at that particular time, and they selected their sides and they put before me. And on most occasions, Russell Green was 19th or 20th man. And on that, when that happened, I realised then I had a very good side, because I knew the ability of Russell Green. I didn't know the ability of the other players, and if they thought Russell Green was only good enough to be 19th or 20th man, then I knew I had a chance of winning a premiership.
And in 1982, you got to the preliminary final?
Yes, we got there, and a lot of things went wrong just prior to it. We lost Terry Wallace, who's one of the great players I've ever coached. Once he runs over the line, I don't think I've met a fiercer competitor than Terry. I had the pleasure of coaching such a boy. Then we lost David O'Halloran, and then we lost Peter Knights in the finals, and I think I said at that particular stage that if I kept Knightsy upright, I would have had a chance, but it was unfortunate. It didn't go that way. Luck plays a very important part in it, and we learn from our lessons, and things seem to go right this year. Early in the first round I was a bit disappointed. Naturally, when you start assessing things, I would like to finish 8-3 or 9-2 at the end of the first round, but we lost Mick Burns, our only ruck, of height. Peyton was injured on a couple of occasions, and Tucky, Nares and these players, we had a lot of injuries in the first round, and I think we finished 6-5 in the first round. I had a few doubts then, and I knew that we had to lift our game, and the players did in the second round, and as the round progressed, I started to get a bit more confidence, and I think today out at North Melbourne, when we were behind at three-quarter time and they got up and won that game, I thought then we got a chance.
Big chance. Yesterday, that big day, you lost Gary Buckenara very early in the game. Did you have any moments of worry in the early part of the game?
Oh yes, you wouldn't. Virtually you got 19 men, and Gary Buckenara is a wonderful player. He's played under enormous disadvantages since he's been at Hawthorn. He's got crooked knees, and we have to nurse him through all the time. He's a natural ruck rover. I agree with Mr. Todd and the other people who want to ruck rove him. I'd ruck rove him, but he had the crooked knees, and it's been a worry to us all the time, and we have to nurse him through, and it's great for him. And if only, I know he was bitterly disappointed last night. He's put up with this for about 2 years, and just another 2 hours just to enjoy being a part of the winning side, and it's disappointing for Gary, but he's only a young fella, and he'll get his knees done. His knees were going to be operated on the end of the year, and I just hope they fully recover, because he's got great talents, and really the people of Victoria haven't seen the best of this player yet.
And I think we'd like to hear a word from you about your captain, who was one of the game's great personalities.
Well, yes, he's a great player. I liked to got him when he was younger. Yesterday, he was magnificent, has capped off a wonderful career. In my career, I've been very fortunate. I've had the good fortune to coach many good players. A player such as Baldock never won a Brownlow medal, he should have. But he did have the pleasure of being captain of St Kilda's first side. Matthews is another great player, never won a Brownlow medal, but yesterday I think that compensated to be captain of a Hawthorn premiership side.
Alan, there are a lot of parents who are watching this program, and football comes in for some criticism about whether youngsters should play the game or not. I've heard you speak in your other capacity as a member of the police force. I've heard you talk about discipline in society, and I know that one of the cornerstones of your coaching is discipline in attitude, and discipline in the style of football. I think perhaps for parents, a reassurance from the coach of the premier team about the value of football in the character development of young people would not go amiss at this stage of football.
Well, I think, particularly in our society, in our free society, you cannot achieve your objectives, and I found this as a parent, as a policeman, as a coach of a football side, that I've never been able to achieve my objectives unless you did have some form of discipline. And discipline just doesn't guarantee freedom, but to have freedom you must have a form of discipline, and self-imposed discipline is the best form of discipline, not the discipline where you have to stand over people. And why I'm so proud of my players at this particular stage, that they put self-imposed discipline on themselves. So many players at Hawthorn haven't had a drink for so many months, and it wasn't under my instructions. It was something they self-imposed upon themselves because they believed in the cause and they wanted to be a part of it. And I'm deeply indebted to these people to allow me to be the coach of them. Yeah.
Alan, the club song says we're a happy team at Hawthorn. Has it been a happy team all the year?
Yes, it's been a very happy club, and I must say, when I went to Hawthorn, I went there with some apprehension because they enjoyed so much success under the Kennedys and the Parkins, and some of their great players were getting near the twilight part of their career, and I wondered if I could turn them around and bring them up. But that was my big fear. But when I got there, I didn't realise that they were such wonderful people. People with great character, the Matthews, the Knights, the Kelmores, the Tuckies, and these people. And it made it so easy. They set such a wonderful example. And when you have players, they just set the example for the young players, and all you have to do is get the instructions across, and it's set for you. And to these people, I'm deeply indebted. Thank you.
Alan, terrific. And to say to you again, congratulations.
I'll just put that there for a moment, Alan. Don't knock that over, for heaven's sake. Gene, give us a smile now, mate. It's good to see Jeansy laughing. I'll tell you what he's going to do for winning the grand final. Give us your latest gag, mate. He's a ripper. You're a ball of laughs today, kid. Look, for Monocraft, got this magnificent diary. It's got your name down there on the bottom. You can do all the bookings there. We can get the parking tickets out. And, of course, you've got the Thomas Hardy Grand Reserve champagne from... That's the beautiful champagne. Do you play golf, Jeansy?
No, Louis.
Well, there's a magnificent golf bag from Tosca, of course. Tosca travels are always first class, and you've certainly been first class ever since you've been in football, particularly with us at World of Sport. We're very proud to know you, Alan Jeans. And, of course, we've got something great here. This is a donation from Mrs. Jean. From Mrs. Jean. Would you come on on camera, Mary? Come on, Mary. Mrs. Yabby, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of everybody at Channel 7 and World of Sport, we'd love you to take this magnificent decanter, and that'll give you something to think about the grand final. And also remember, World of Sport, the football panel, and have a little thought for league teams now and again.
Thanks.
They are
also friends at the Rich River Country Club up at over the other side of the river from Echuca would like you very much to join them there for a holiday weekend. And you don't play golf, but there's tennis and there's bowls and there's great activities up there. And I'm certain you'll have a lovely weekend up there as the guests of the Rich River Country Club and, of course, the Rich River Golf Club. So.
And it could be the 33rd honeymoon too, James. Yeah? You never know. You're lucky in a big city, Mary, do you?
Well, congratulations to all of us at World of Sport.
Come on,
well
Mary, darling.
Alan James.
Thanks, Ron. Congratulations, Alan. You really steamrolled them yesterday. From me looking from the stand, I thought you had it won in the first 10 minutes. I'd like to also congratulate Lee Matthews. He was brilliant. I really enjoyed watching him. And also I have the award here for Terry Wallace, the Canberra Club Award, and unfortunately he can't be with us because he's out of the ground. Would you please accept that on his behalf?
I will. Thank you very much. Just on behalf of Terry first, and I'd just like to thank Canberra Television. I know they have a close liaison with the Hawthorn Football Club, and Desi and all those people. I'd just like to thank you very much, and I feel very honoured.
We did mention that we were giving away a video and a TV, didn't we?
Video and a television set. That goes to Alan James. Yes, congratulations, Alan, once again.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Daryl, for your support all through the year.
Thanks, Ron.
Is your rusty old grabbed very early before the ball came down, and I did put my hand in the air to blow time off. I didn't realise the judge was going to pick the ball up and kick the goal. And it would have been good to have called play on if I had seen Judge. The ball bounced so far from where the decision occurred that I didn't realise that he would pick it up so easily and kick a goal. And I made Byrne take the kick, the original free kick, but it could easily, I wasn't happy with that, it could easily have been a play on and a goal.
Yes, there did seem to be quite a bit of confusion on both sides there.
yeah, I think that everyone saw the goal and thought it would be a goal, but they wouldn't have known that I had blown the whistle for a free kick.
All right,
so it was confusing.
1 down, 5 to go. Let's go into our second one now.
Fumbles. Matthews, first touch in the back, no.
That's a good decision.
That's
I just want to hear, Sandy, I've decided that there was no free kick. I've decided that Lee Matthews did take the ball and he was tackled correctly around the waist or arms, and I don't believe he was pushed in the back, and I've pulled a ball up. I think that's okay.
Yep, that one looks pretty straightforward. Now we're back in the Hawthorn forward line once again. Let's see what's happening here. Izzard at the bottom of the pack.
Sock it out. Vanderhaar will get there.
Well, this occasion here, I think he scooped the ball
yes, he certainly
two
did.
hands, and I've called that as being a throw.
That's the one that's caused a lot of talk and conjecture over the past couple of seasons, but there's no question there that he definitely did.
Yeah, they do seem to stick out when they do it two hands backwards between their legs.
So 3 down, 3 to go. Back with Neville Nash and Kevin Smith in just a moment. We've got our fourth now.
Half forward, Danaher and Mew.
Well, there's a mark to Terry Danaher, and I believe that Chris made sure that Terry wasn't able to play on by handball or kick, and I felt he did hang on to him too long after the mark. Therefore, that was a 15-metre penalty because he was wasting time on letting him play on. You can see he's got his arms there and he's not going to let go. So I brought him 15 metres closer and Terry kicked the goal.
There's probably a little bit of conjecture about that one. Just listening to the commentators, I don't think they really agreed with the decision, but do you work out in your mind, is there a set time limit that you think, now hang on, he's going too far, you should have let him go?
Yeah, well, that's one of the worst things about being an umpire and the rules of the game, in that everything's a reasonable time, up to interpretation, and I just think we just grabbed him and wouldn't let him play on, so there's not a matter of a time delay, he just wouldn't let him play on, so I believe it was 15 metres there.
All right then, Kevin's not enjoying this too much, but I think you are, Neville, at the moment.
Sandy, it's good.
All right, into number 5. Let's see how he fared this time.
Halloran. Well caught.
Halloran beautifully tackled by Rene Kink. And I think
it's
called play on initially and then a ball up.
Oh yeah, I think you've summed it up pretty well there. It was a great tackle, and as you see, Rene has grabbed him perfectly around the waist, but Rene has actually taken the ball out of David O'Halloran's hands and is holding it. Then after that, David has made a definite attempt to try and handball it, and that's why the decision was play on. And when the ball went down on the ground, the pack developed, it was a ball up decision. But the thing in that one there is that it was a perfect tackle by Rene Kink, and even though it's a perfect tackle, it doesn't warrant automatically a free kick for holding the ball, because actually Rene held the ball onto David's chest, and then David then made an attempt to handball.
When the ball did come out from his arms, could you have just called let play go on? Yes.
Oh yes, well if the force of the tackle knocks the ball out, you should call play on. But then if anything happens after that, well, in that case, I think a pack developed after that, and then there was a ball up.
Right. Okay, Nev, into the lucky last.
Perfect day for football. Bahaja.
Merit to Bahaja. And Russell Green.
Free kick. Against him. That's harsh. He said for throwing the ball. So the free kick will go to Russell.
Well, I played that for a double-handed throw.
Confusing free kick by umpire Nash that time.
I believe that he didn't handball it out. He pushed it or he threw it out to his teammate, and I paid that for a throw.
That's an interesting one. I'm wondering perhaps if we could have a look at that again in slow motion.
Perfect day for football. Bahaja going after. He's upended.
I think if you see it again there, he had two hands and he pushed it out. So
that's harsh. He said for throwing the ball.
He's thrown.
Yeah, it was. It's very hard to pick up normal speed, but
I know Skills is pretty good, but he's not that good. But no, I think that was an obvious throw, that one.
I think isn't that harsh was the word there by Bobby Skilden. Well, gentlemen, thank you both for joining us on What's Your Decision today, and well done.
Thanks, Ian.
On a good job yesterday, and must have been a great thrill for both of you.
Yeah, terrific.
Yeah, it was.
Thank you.
What's Your Decision was presented by the State Bank.
Part of World of Sport's Grand Final edition is to make the presentations. First presentations are to the under-19, the two umpires who handled the under-19s Grand Final yesterday, Gerald Walsh and Shane McDonald, and welcomes to Jack Roach, Director of Market and Sales for the State Bank to World of Sport. Jack, great to have you with the program. And we're looking for Gerald and Shane. Gerald and Shane, fellas, here we are. And there are your winners, Jack, of the under-19s award, which is a weekend at Paradise Centre on the Gold Coast from Thomas Cook State Bank Travel.
Firstly to Gerald and Shane, congratulations both at your first grand final. Well done, fellas. It wasn't an easy game to do, but it was very well done. Your whistle from the State Bank. Thanks very much. A weekend holiday to Paradise Centre in Surfers Paradise. Your airfare from Ansett and Thomas Cook travel checks to both of you.
Thanks very much.
Congratulations and well done. Thanks very much.
Right, who's going to be spokesman?
Thank you.
I think I might step forward.
Hello, Shane.
Well, on behalf of Gerald and myself, I'd like to thank the sponsors of the award. That's the State Bank, thanks very much, Jack, Thomas Cook, and also to Channel 7 for putting the award on. Also, I'd like to extend our gratitude to the Umpires Appointment Board of the Cadet List. They put in a very hard year and looked after all of us very well. To our fellow umpires, thanks very much. They put in a great year on and off the track. And thanks very much to our team yesterday. We had two very good goal umpires, two very good boundary umpires, and our emergency. To Jerry, thanks very much for your game also. And once again, thanks very much to our sponsors in Thomas Cook, the State Bank, and Channel 7.
Gerald Walsh and Shane McDonald are the winners of the special award from the State Bank for umpiring the under-19s Grand Final yesterday. Congratulations, fellas. The senior award, it is, of course, for the two senior umpires, Neville Nash and Kevin Smith. And Jack, we could make the presentation of the Golden Whistle Award and the other trophies that go to our two Grand Final umpires.
Yes, fellas, I've got to say that quite often on the other side of the fence each Saturday I find that I'm not always in agreement with you. I believe that this segment on the World of Sport is a great opportunity to sort out my questions that arise and straighten us out, because you are right some of the time. Congratulations, fellas, on yesterday. A great game. Neville, your holiday to the Gold Coast, staying at Paradise Centre. To you, Kevin. Thanks, Jeff. And your Golden Whistle Award.
Oh, lovely. Thanks very much.
Thank you. From the State Bank.
Thank you.
May I present your travel bags too?
Oh,
thank you.
Very much. Thank you.
Congratulations, fellas.
Thanks, Jack. Thanks very much. Thanks, Jack. On behalf of Neville and myself, I'd like to say, first of all, to Channel 7 for the way we've been received in here over the last couple of years on the Sunday morning pressure. What's your decisions? And it's really been terrific. And this is a tremendous award from Thomas Cook and State Bank. I know how much the Golden Whistle means to me. I've had a couple before and it's tremendous. It really does look good at home, and I want to say how pleased the umpires are for the encouragement you are giving us. Thanks very much.
Well then, Kevin, I think it's fair to say that we too have appreciated the cooperation of the umpires, because we believe it's a valuable segment of World of Sport. We believe it helps the fans understand the game a little better, and that's what it's all about. And we certainly appreciate the assistance of the State Bank in being able to put the segment together, because I think it's a very valuable part of World of Sport. Congratulations on a great performance yesterday, and our appreciation to the State Bank, Jack, for your continued support.
Thanks, Ron. We're proud to be associated.
Thank you.
Who made my gutsy new Hijet wagon with heaps of features?
Make the presentation to the Hawthorn champion.
Thanks, Sandy. Congratulations, Terry. I'm sorry I gave the cheque away to Alan, but I'm sure he won't spend it on you. And I think he's on the way out to the ground with it now. Congratulations on an excellent game yesterday, and to all your fellow players.
Thanks very much, Gerald. I'd just like to thank Canberra TV for all that they do for football. Also, their association with the Hawthorn Football Club over the years has been magnificent. And once again to the panel for voting for me. Thank you very much, and I just hope that Yabby gets back with my little cheque there.
Good on you, Terry. Thanks very much, and enjoy the celebrations. Terry Wallace out there at Hawthorn. Gerald, we thank you once again. We'll see you a little bit later on in the show.
Thanks, Sandy.
Excitement, the drama and the adrenaline, all blowing up in your face. Essendon's coach Kevin Sheedy has been there before. It was back in 1972 when, as a player for Richmond, he was on the MCG as John Nichols Blues kicked a VFL Grand Final record score against his then club. It was that memory that spurred Sheedy on last night. The secret of fighting back and winning successive flags in 73 and 74. Just the spur he needs as confidence at Windy Hill hits rock bottom. In the defeat at the MCG yesterday, much has been overlooked. How can you forget the marvellous job Sheedy has done in the past month, taking a side that looked anything but premiership contenders through big wins over Carlton twice, Fitzroy and North to reach the grand final from the elimination final. Today we welcome our former World of Sport panellist as he talks with Bob Skilton.
Kevin, congratulations first on getting your team to the grand final. Commiserations. We can understand the disappointment and how you must have felt. Were you angry at all with the performance of your players?
Well, you would have to be, yes. To play a grand final like that is just not on. I can't accept it, and I don't want my players and I don't want the football club to accept a performance like that when your supporters go along to watch what you really believe is the showcase in football, and we put in a performance like that. So on the day, the grand final, yes, I was extremely disappointed in the performance, but the performance of the 7 or 8 weeks prior to that, I felt that our players had overcome an enormous number of barriers, showed a bit of character, which was really good to see, but on the given day, full marks to Hawthorn. They're a very good club, a strong club, and I honestly believe that if we can really learn by losing a grand final, and in particular the way we did, then that would give us a chance to do really well next year.
Well, just looking at the grand final again, did you err by not playing Ron Andrews? Why didn't you play Andrews?
Well, I definitely didn't err by not playing Ron Andrews. Ron Andrews never played, hadn't played much football in the last 5 weeks. He'd played a quarter and a half against Fitzroy and nearly cost us the game through lack of discipline. He wouldn't have been fit enough to play in a grand final at the pace of what yesterday's game was. And I make it quite clear right here and now that if Essendon are going to be a good strong club in the 80s to try and match what has already happened, Richmond 80, Carlton 81-2, Hawthorn 83, to get anywhere near the top 4 clubs, which we are starting to just about get to them, then you have to have an unbelievable commitment to football. So when any player wants to come and play at Essendon, make sure that you've got the discipline and the commitment, as we heard Alan Jean speak about before.
Well, did you make a mistake playing Brian Wood?
I picked Wood ahead of Donnell, yes, and probably Waterson. We made perhaps the decision over a period of 8 weeks ago when we were going, we looked like missing out in the finals altogether. And we brought Brian Wood and Renee Kink to Essendon. They really helped us get to the finals. Brian Wood's performance and Renee Kink's performances against Hawthorn earlier in the season, like 8 weeks ago, were exceptionally good, where Franks and Ronnie Andrews had not been really good.
You came from the elimination final. You had what was fairly tough games against Carlton and Fitzroy, but it looked to be not a real physical game last week against North Melbourne. Is it impossible to come from the elimination final and win a grand final?
Oh, no, definitely not. I really believe that. I think that you can come from the elimination final and win a premiership. I honestly believe that. Probably the thing that may have cost us in the last 4 or 5 weeks is that each week we kept just losing one player out, one good player, a senior type of player, and that can be telling, where I just feel that with Alan and the boys at Hawthorn, they kept their good side there. They were pretty fortunate in that way, but I honestly feel that his training of his older experienced players must have been tremendous, because your Tuck and your Knights and your Matthews and the boys like that have been around for a long, long time and been great players in that era. They really play well on the day, and of course the younger, stronger players coming up perform well for them.
Kevin, what approach did you take before the game yesterday? Was it a normal type game, or did you show any films or anything like that?
Oh, we always show a film now and then, and it was a normal type approach.
Did you show a film yesterday?
Yes, we had a look at a film on Herb Elliott, and a film on another fighter.
You've been there, you know, you've been there and done that a few times. I can't say about a grand final, but I personally would have felt that players would not need motivation before a grand final.
Well, sometimes you just like to look at some of the things that have been really working well for you over the year. I mean, we have won a lot of games for this year, and we've really come, not many teams have come from the elimination final to a grand final. I think that my players, if we really learn from the experience of losing a grand final, if we can handle that correctly and really master that, I honestly believe we can be a very good, strong force in the next couple of years, particularly next year. We have history telling us there that, you know, I think 5 premierships in the 1970s were won by teams that lost the previous grand final. And if you have a look at Alan Jeans's first grand final win in his coaching career in '66, he lost the grand final in '65 to Essendon.
You hope history repeats itself.
I do.
Kevin, this year we've seen many games won by big margins, such as yesterday. Now, has the game changed that much that once a side gets a run on, that it's virtually impossible to stop them?
Well, it shouldn't be really. I mean, I think that when we lost Duckworth, we lost what area we could have manning up and tagging some of the Hawthorn good players. And I really felt that Simon Madden was fantastic for Essendon yesterday, even though I heard comments before. But, you know, Hawthorn are a very good, strong team in that centre square at getting the palm down. And I really think that Simon was fantastic. And I would just like to personally thank him for his year and his comeback into being a top player in the VFL after when I first come to the club, and perhaps released him of the captaincy. To come back the way he has was, you know, fantastic.
Well, as Lou comes in, Kevin, congratulations on getting Essendon there. Unfortunately, there can only be one winner, but to the Essendon club and Kevin Sheedy, congratulations on your year.
Yes, Kevin, and we'd like to thank you on behalf of all the members of World of Sport and Channel 7 for your cooperation with us this year and all the years you've been connected with football. You've been tremendous. We'd like you to take that vacuum flask home. That's the stainless steel from Aladdin, the Bostic glue gun. Might be able to stick a few of your players together. Give us a bit of a laugh, mate. It's all over now. And you've got the, from Pro Timber and Hardware, the Lufkin tape measure. Also, we'd like you to have this magnificent tie. That's the Yves Saint Laurent tie from that big shop that Doug hangs out. I can't think of the name at the moment. Solway. And there's a magnificent monocraft Kevin Sheedy die with your name on the bottom. Also a bottle of Thomas Hardy Grand Reserve champagne. And you heard us mention before about the Rich River Country Club. We'd like you and your lovely wife Geraldine to spend a weekend there and a bit of spending money. I think you'll enjoy yourself. There's and of course we'd love Geraldine to come on with your lovely second baby. Geraldine, on behalf of Channel 7 and World of Sport, we'd like to present to you this magnificent decanter. It'll give you something to remember World of Sport and Channel 7, and also for Kevin's assistance here throughout the year. And thank you very much. And I'll just put it so you won't drop that. And what's the baby's name, darling?
Chelsea.
Chelsea, is it? And that's 2 girls you've got now. What's wrong with you, Kev? Thank you very much, and congratulations on a fine effort. There's always next year, Kev.
This is lucky. So no doubt whatsoever about who was best to field in the 1983 grand final. His clash with Essendon's dynamo Tim Watson put the young Bomber veteran out of the game, but that was only one facet of the Robertson game. His skills and pace, coupled with his fire and determination, played a major part in the Hawks' win. For a side that has never produced a Brownlow medalist, Robbo did the next best thing by bringing home the club's first Norm Smith medal, and the blue and gold medal on its navy ribbon was the centre of much attention at the Social Club celebrations late into the night. With 13 kicks, 14 hand passes and 5 marks, he gave the Hawks bite all round the field and paved the way for their 5th premiership. Today, Colin Robertson, the 1983 Norm Smith medalist, is with us at World of Sport talking with Bob Davis.
Well, Cole, first of all, Hawthorn are a low-profile club, so let's get some statistics about you. You came from over in, where Peter McKenna went over to star at one stage, because he's been everywhere, over in the northwest of Tasmania.
Yes, Wynyard.
Wynyard.
Yeah.
Robert Neal, I think, came from Wynyard to Geelong, did he?
Yes, he did. I went through school with Robert until he went to high school and then he came over here.
And are there many other players over from that particular area there?
I'm not really sure at this stage.
Barry Lawrence, was he up that way?
No, he's Launceston.
Oh, Launceston, so across the other side.
Oh, well, not across it.
Not
he's
that
in the
far.
middle.
He's in the middle, all right. Well, now let's get on to yesterday's game. Were you told early in the week that you had a specific task?
Jeansy gave me a couple of options that could possibly happen, during the game.
Yes.
And he said, we'll just let it unfold as it happens. And I had Watson.
Did you have to pick him up right at the start? Because Sam Newman said that Watson picked up Matthews right at the start of the game. Now, did he or not?
No, Watson didn't pick up Matthews. Watson went into the centre.
Oh, well, let's straighten that out. Good. So that's okay. Now, through the year, have you had any set position for yourself?
No, I haven't. And I'm still wondering which position I will be playing.
Well, in actual fact, through the year, you were in trouble with, some sort of a thigh injury?
Yeah, strained a thigh muscle.
And it kept you out for how long?
I think about 8 or 9 games, I think it kept me out.
And did you imagine while you were injured that there was going to be a position for you at this stage?
Oh, well, I hoped there was going to be a position there anyway.
Well, it seems strange, and it's been spoken about, that Hawthorn either change their ruck ravers or their ravers in the back pocket. Is that a true or false statement?
That's a true statement. We have done, yes. I've been changing with Russell Green on the ball.
And going back into the back pocket?
I don't think... yesterday we changed in the half-back flank, actually.
Yeah.
Because of the big men in the forward line.
Well, is that a difficult thing to do, really?
It is when you're looking forward to a rest, and it doesn't really happen because you've got to chase a forward down forward around the ground. It makes it very difficult to have a rest.
The Hawthorn team seem to play in 2s and 3s. You're able to run in 2s and 3s, and you're also able to play the ball laterally to the side to handball out, to get the ball moving very quickly. Is that a training method?
Yes, we got a couple of good training methods that Yabby does with us out in the ground. He plays, it's called Mad Dog ball.
Yes, yeah.
Where the players go here, there and everywhere. It's unbelievable.
And you play the ball quickly to one another?
Yeah. There's a lot of handball in that Mad Dog, actually.
It does appear as though Hawthorn have the ability at this stage to be able to play the ball under severe pressure, almost pinpoint the ball with their kicking, whether it's straight on up the ground or reverse it to the other side. Now, is that another one that they've got out there?
Oh, no, I think that just happens, I think.
Well, seeing that Louis in here now, I think I'll let him ask the question.
No, I'm not going to ask him any questions to embarrass him. I don't care what you did in the centre of the ground. That's your own business.
Well, you found it. Just found it.
That's the name of the game, and I bet all the Tasmanians are very proud of him.
I'll say, yes.
Because he played a superb game, didn't he?
He certainly did, yes.
I'll tell you one thing from a commentator's point of view, when they're both running at you, Kennedy and Robert, they're pretty hard to the stunkish, aren't they?
Oh, Yabby makes clones of them, I think.
Okay, let's... Robbo, you've got this toiletries from Gillette. I think you're going away on a trip or two?
No, I don't think so, Lou.
Well, if you ever do go on a trip, you can use that.
Hawthorn surely take you somewhere, won't they?
Yes, I have, but I'm not
The Thomas Hardy Grand Reserve Champagne, the entertainment from Ballantyne's, and of course, you were travelling first class yesterday, like your team was. There's a magnificent Tosca bag because Tosca travellers are always first class.
Thanks very much, Lou.
Good on you, pal, and put it there, pal.
Yes, really was a magnificent game yesterday. Congratulations.
Nothing more I can add to that as we introduce the captain of the Premiership team for 1983. Always a first favourite here at the World of Sport. Winner of our football highlights today and all the other awards that have gone around. And there's only one of him, and he is the best, there's no doubt about that. The skipper, Lee Matthews, and who better to talk with him, the man who had such praise for him in our panel, Jack Dyer.
Yes, I don't often praise fellas, but congratulations on a great game yesterday. Lee, let's get down to business now. Now, the lead up to the grand final, what was it like? Can you still sleep at night?
Well, I think really
I think I was calmer during the week than maybe I expected to be honest. I thought after Thursday night's training, and there was 2,000 or 3,000 people down at Hawthorn, and it was, I think that's really when the atmosphere starts to build up from that point onwards. And of course the grand final parade, which I enjoyed immensely. I think it's great the way the grand final weekend has become such an occasion, even more so, and so I just enjoyed the whole involvement, really.
All right, now the coach has given his speech. Do you listen to him intently now or not? Now, wait a minute, you've had, how many speeches you had in your life? About 9,000 million of them, yeah. Do you still listen intently?
Yeah, I try to look them in the eye, because then they think you're listening. Yeah, I find.
But you are calm underneath it all the time. Now, what was his speech now? Yabby would be very, very...
He didn't really say a great deal yesterday, to be honest. Before the match, I think it had all been said, and I think, there's not a lot he's going to say in the last 5 minutes of the match that are going to be terribly pertinent, but, Jonesy's just been magnificent over the last couple of years, I think, in developing our side, really, to be a premiership contender, and, well, obviously yesterday went so well that we are, 1983 premiers.
Now, you got out there, you went to a huddle. Did you speak to the players out there in the huddle?
Oh, only just brief. It was only just more or less a final.
What did you say?
Well, I think the exact words are, we all ready? Are you ready for it? As soon as that,
That all right,
I was wanting to hope they weren't going to walk off the ground.
Were you worried who was going to pick you up?
No, I wasn't. Someone had said during the week that Gary Folds may have sort of played in the back pocket, but I certainly wasn't surprised when Stephen Carey was my direct opponent.
Yeah, any time did the Ruck Rover pick you up from Essendon?
Yeah, at one stage, only for a few seconds there, when Stephen Carey went down, I think hurt his shoulder in the centre of the ground, and Tim Watson, as a good teammate should do, came and sort of picked up a loose forward in myself.
Now, at any stage were you worried? Now, I believe that at three-quarter time you first had a look at the scoreboard.
Now, well, I think, you obviously worried early. I mean, I think we had a lot of the play in the first quarter, but we kicked poorly, and, it was 5-6. They'd kicked 4 goals straight, and that the match was still in the balance. It, had a terrific second quarter, and I think at half-time, I suppose one should say, providing we made no bad mistakes, we should have gone on and won the match. And I think it was critical. We kicked a couple of early goals in the third quarter, and I think from that point onwards, we virtually had the match.
Just one moment there. Do you want to say something?
Jack, there was a little something I was going to mention in the introduction to Lee. I was on the arena yesterday, and when the Hawthorn team came out, the cheer squad got the banner in position, but the heavy wind that was blowing there actually tore the banner, and things went a bit amiss. The players moved to move away and to do their lap, and the captain, Lee Matthews, called them back, and they stood in a little group waiting for the kids to get the banner reorganised, which I thought was a very nice thing indeed, particularly with all the pressure on grand final day. And I also want to say thanks to Lee Matthews, because in the hurly-burly after the game, Stephen Phillips was down there, and we were on relay all around the world, and Lee Matthews, I mentioned the professionalism of the two clubs in their attitude towards television during the week, and never was it more obvious at the end of the game yesterday when Lee Matthews went straight to the microphone and the camera to do the after-match interview, which is a very important part of television, but it was a big occasion, and we do appreciate it, Lee, and it just demonstrates the professionalism we were talking about earlier.
All champions are like that, Ron.
I was going to say, actually, I'm going leading a Super Bowl 2 over to see the Super Bowl.
I meant to ask you about that, yes.
I thought if I was on international TV, I'll probably get mobbed at the airport now.
Just mention my name when you go overseas, Lee. Incidentally, Jack, do you reckon he was rough?
No, I thought he played the game very fairly on Saturday. As a matter of fact, you surprised me just a fraction, you did. Just a fraction.
They hit you back, these guys, Jack. That's the trouble.
Did you call him playing nicely yesterday?
Yes, I thought he was a very nice player yesterday. I thought that you did everything right. Everything happened for you.
Yeah.
Sometimes in football something happens for you, and it happened for you yesterday.
Lee,
Mark, you couldn't take that again.
I think what happened is I had a wonderful bunch of teammates there.
So, Lee, when Wallace went down that time with that injury, the poke in the eye, now, was he okay to kick the ball? Did you decide between the two? I'll kick it.
Well, I can recall back to the last time, early in the season we played Essendon at Princes Park, and I took a mark not too far out from goal, and got a whack as I marked it, and I knew I wasn't really in the best frame of mind, so I didn't want to kick the ball. And I knew Michael Moncrief would be there hovering to take it for me. He's been such a good kick, and I thought I'll try that trick, so I was just hanging around there.
Well, I'll say you was hanging around. You never moved 1 inch
all right,
there.
Someone else gets a
Were
kick
you
for
talking to him?
I was talking to the umpire. Give me the ball, give me the
Lee,
ball.
we'd love you to have this monochrome beautiful diary there with your name on the bottom. Also, the Thomas Hardy Grand Reserve Champagne. Also, for you and your wife, a lovely weekend at the Mildura Country Club. And there's also a bit of spending money to go with that. I think you'll enjoy yourself. And here we have this magnificent fruit bowl. This is Danish Crystal. And that goes home to your wife. This is presented to you on behalf of Channel 7 and all the people here at World of Sport. We'd like to thank you for all your help you've given us all the year, and may you keep on playing for many, many years.
Competitors, Alan Jarrett from Melbourne, Gary Pert from Fitzroy, Robert Flower from Melbourne. The way the game is played today, there will be 20 shots in 2 rounds of 10. The first prize is $600 plus a magnificent National Panasonic video recorder, $400 to runner-up and $200 to third. It will be Alan Jarrett to lead off with the left hand, followed by Robbie Flower with the right hand, followed by Gary Pert with the left hand. 5 shots and then 5 shots again, and then the second round a little later in yesterday's match for the commentators to make a decision as for the goal of the day at yesterday's grand final. Here's one from Russell Green of Hawthorn.
Bradbury fumbles, coming out of the back has swaddled the ball. A hand pass to Russell Green out there at half forward. A long kick towards the goals. I think he might have put this one through. He has. What a goal!
Kick from Wallace, looking for Matthews.
Hawthorn, Lee Matthews.
Beautiful one-hander, just not completing it enough. Matthews, a shot at goal. It's a jam! One of those
Hawthorn, Russell Green.
On to Green, who's already kicked the goal before. Steadies for another one. Another long shot. Is a jam from Russell Green.
For Hawthorn, Terry Wallace.
Over there to Wallace from Eade at half ball. This looks dangerous. A long shot at goal up there to Burnham Miles. He's put it through. A magnificent goal. And what about the Bombers are getting it?
Can't catch
For Essendon, Kevin Walsh.
Past Walsh on the forward line, takes the mark and plays on. Muse just about got him. No, he hasn't. Walsh kicks and scores a goal.
For Essendon, Alan Ezard.
Oh, it's a chance now for little Ezard. It's another goal. He's right. He's got it.
Well, some great goals there, Bob. Which ones did you like?
Well, I liked actually the 2 of Russell Green's because he had to come down from, from further up the ground to make himself in good condition. But I suppose when you look at the way that Lee Matthews stole away from the Essendon defenders and put it through, that was a great goal.
Was a great goal. What about you, Sam?
Well, I like Walsh's and Ezard's because they were only 2 of 8 that were scored by Essendon. But of course, Lee Matthews superb as usual, and he would certainly be my vote for yesterday.
Well, I think we all agreed on that one, no doubt about it. Lee Matthews, a tremendous goal, and certainly lifted all those Hawthorn teammates of his. As we have a look at it on replay, Lee did the bustling there against Shane Hurd. He went in after the ball and he gets tackled here by 2 Essendon players. Still got his kick in and kicked a beautiful goal from the half-forward line. And Lee Matthews wins the Midas goal of the day. And after this short break, we'll come back.
Sport goal of the day was proudly presented to you.
Goal here. There's a long drop punt into the square. He's goal. What a goal!
Robert Neal, Geelong. We're showing you 10 goals, and one of the goals being shown is the goal of the year and wins the Muffler Award. That's Neal for Geelong. Conlon for Fitzroy. Michael Conlon.
Starts to move, but look at him go. There he goes, running to an open goal. Borks. Oh, it'll be a goal for sure by
Ball reaches Stewart.
Peter Dacos for Collingwood.
Dacos walks. He's going to have a shot for goal. He's made 10 to 15 metres, and now he shoots from the boundary line. That's a good goal.
Now the bounce.
Bernie Quinlan, Fitzroy.
Wilson was going past. Still Bernie. Under plenty of pressure this time. Phillips sticking with him, but Quinlan's got the talent to get away. Shooter at his left shoulder and put it straight through of Essendon.
Paul Meldrum for Carlton.
Kick. It bounces awkwardly from Meldrum. From the boundary line. Can Meldrum go in? He does. 1, 2, 3, and the goal! Great goal!
Matt Rendell, Fitzroy.
Is that a mark? No, says the umpire. Dempsey looking for it. Back comes Rendell and a step shot at goal, which he's brought around beautifully and put it through.
Jim Cracker for North Melbourne.
Down his Otway. Jim Cracker is there with him. Jimmy gets away. Play on is the call. He shoots in towards goal.
Collingwood
Philip
defence.
Walsh, Collingwood.
After taking that hand pass from Taylor. Coming through is Walsh. A hand pass from Walsh to Richardson. Back to Walsh again. Can the Collingwood winger score? It's a great goal! Philip Walsh!
And Jim Cracker for North Melbourne.
He's forward bounce. He leaves the position as though he wasn't there. He goes goal!
goal of the year.
Well, no one could say goal-kicking skills have deteriorated, Bob, after looking at those ones.
No, they were magnificent goals. Whether they're under pressure, whether they're coming down hard, whether they're swinging on their left foot, whether they've got that bit of finesse as Dacos had going around. And I did like Jimmy Cracker's first goal, where great goal. I think that he beat 3, 4, I think even 5 players and finished up weaving in and putting it. It was a magnificent goal.
What about you, Sam?
Well, two very similar goals from Robert Neal and Walsh from Collingwood, the recruit of the year. Running on, taking the hand pass and then threading it through on their wrong foot, if you'll know what I mean by that. And but Michael Conlon, that goal there, he had everything in that. It was a great kick, strength, he had agility and very good judgment in the end.
Yes, and I agree with you too. I thought Quinlan's was great, but no doubt the goal of the year in the minds of the three of us was definitely Mickey Conlon. If we could, we are going to have a look at this one again. As you see him stream down towards centre half forward, he balked the play. Now watch him, goes for another balk here, gets around and then fires it through the goals, and we're very fortunate to have Mickey Conlon in the studio today to talk to Ron Casey.
Well, there is the winner of the Midas Goal of the Year, Michael Conlon of Fitzroy, and we welcome Mr Tony Corbett, National Marketing Director of Midas, to meet your winner of the Goal of the Year. Congratulations, Michael, well done.
Congratulations, Michael. Let me just say it's a pleasure to be associated with Channel 7 and the Goal of the Year. We're looking forward to a long and I'm sure lengthy association with 7. For your efforts, Michael, very, very well done, and on behalf of all Midas muffler shops throughout Australia, congratulations, well done.
Thank you very much, Tony.
I have here a small piece of paper that says, yes, definitely $5,000. Again, congratulations, Michael.
Yeah, good. Thank you very much, Tony. I'd just like to thank Midas Muffler for making the award possible every week, and also thank the Channel 7 commentators for making the award possible to me, and also a special thanks to my teammates who the award wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for them, for helping shepherding and whatever, and passing me the ball. So once again, thanks to my teammates, and special thanks to Midas Muffler. Thank you very much.
Michael, do you remember the goal?
Yes, I do, Ron. There was a bit of a rainy day at Princes Park. That was a big win for us.
And of course, you weren't thinking about goal of the day at that time, but did you feel good when you kicked the goal?
Yes, I actually wasn't quite sure how far to run with the ball, because I had Peter Francis there next to me telling me to keep running. So also special thanks to Peter for telling me I was in the clear there.
Well, congratulations from all of us here at World of Sport, Michael. A great goal and a great performance. And Tony, we thank you, and we've appreciated the association with Midas in this very special feature of World of Sport throughout the year.
We look forward to it, Ron.
Right. Perry Danaher, Essendon.
Yes, what a mark! Played a very
Dermot Brett and Hawthorn.
Back out there. Brown again as Bobskill.
Lee Matthews, Hawthorn. Chris Mew, Hawthorn.
Mew goes for one hand.
John Kennedy, Hawthorn.
Drives the ball over the half forward. There's Kennedy at the back going the punch of the mark.
Simon Madden of Essendon.
Looking for Judge, and that's...
and the mark of the day, gentlemen, is...
Well, there were some great marks, Jack, and playing against Essendon must bring back memories to you, because you took some great marks out at Essendon.
Yeah, it was my happy hunting ground out there.
What was the most you took in one day?
Oh, about 16.
16.
Did you know that when Jack played at Essendon, they used to have to warn the air traffic controllers at the airport he was up that high to divert the plane?
Is that right, Jack?
No, that wasn't my best mark, Bob.
Wasn't it? No. What happened?
At Yarra Junction, we had no boots those days. I took off one day there and I got my feet sunburned coming down. I was up high.
You were flying upside down. They were the soles of your feet. They were the soles of your feet.
They were magnificent marks
Well, the
yesterday.
mark of the day, of course, and this magnificent bag, bag from General Motors goes to the winner, of course, goes to the marvellous play and marvellous mark of Lethal Lee Matthews.
It's a lovely mark, this one.
And watch him in action there, eyes on the ball, got a perfect climb.
A real desperate one.
Comes down with a thump, but that doesn't affect him at all.
Holden, Mark of the Year. At the end of the 1983 season, the Mark of the Year player will be awarded a magnificent SLX Commodore from General Motors Holden.
Marks marks, the best marks of the year now for consideration for mark of the year. Ken Hunter of Carlton. Wayne Bettison of Essendon. Gary Pert, Fitzroy.
Oh, what a great mark.
Darryl Cunningham, St Kilda.
He'll be looking up.
Darryl Cunningham, St Kilda again.
Oh, that is a Darryl Cunningham, was it?
Graham Hinchin, Fitzroy.
The square. Oh, yeah.
Silvio Fascini, St Kilda.
Some courage. Magnificent courage there by Silvio. Be the greatest kick
Mark
in the world.
Buckley, Carlton.
Oh, great mark. Tremendous mark.
Peter Bosusto, Carlton.
Looks for McCann.
Wayne Harms, Carlton.
Over the back Harms, and what a screamer.
Well, gentlemen, all the commentators have combined, and you can make the assessment now.
Well, there's been some great marks over the year, and we congratulate all the players taking those fine marks. Bob, what was your thoughts on them?
Well, I thought that there were two there. Wayne Harms, I thought was a very strong mark, and also liked Darryl Cunningham's mark.
Well,
but
Jack,
there was an outstanding one a little bit later. We'll talk about.
Jack, what about you?
I liked Harms. It was beautiful.
Did you?
That was a glorious
Yes,
mark. The more
strong.
you look at that, the strong mark.
And Bettison, too.
Well, that's the one I was really wrapped in, young Bettison's mark. It was a magnificent mark, but let's go across to Ron Casey now to make the presentation for the mark of the year. Let's see it first in action.
Yes.
Well, okay.
And he plays with?
He plays with the Blues, but we won't tell you his name. That's up to you to guess. There it is in action. That's what they call a courageous mark. So here's Ken Hunter now with Ron Casey, and they'll make the presentation.
The winner of the mark of the year is Ken Hunter of Carlton, and wins the magnificent Commodore. And to make the presentation, Mr. John Welch, Assistant Advertising Manager for General Motors. Welcome to the program, John.
Thanks, Ron.
There's the winner of the mark of the year, Ken Hunter.
Congratulations, Ken, from Holden. It was a great effort. There's a lot of competition in there, some great marks for 83, and the panel have chosen a worthy winner. Congratulations again, and the keys for a magnificent Commodore SLX.
Thanks very much, John. Firstly, I'd like to thank GMH Holden for making this award possible. Certainly is the greatest individual award I've ever won. I'd like to thank Channel 7 and the people who selected my mark as being the mark of the year. There's a lot of great marks there, as was said, and I can feel that I'm very fortunate to have won the award. Thanks very much.
Let's see it again. Do you remember the particular incident?
Oh, it's a long time ago. It sounds like last year, but I think it was the first game of the year. I was probably fortunate that Mark didn't play me up there.
I think that was one of the aspects that pleased the judges, actually, was the courage in going forward for that particular mark. So that's, you feel pretty good about that.
That was fantastic.
How are you for wheels at the moment?
Not too bad. I've got an old car that I'll give that to Lou and he can take it for a drive to Tasmania if he likes.
Well, Ken, congratulations from all of us at World of Sport. You've had a great season and highlighted by that magnificent mark of the year.
Okay, thanks.
And John, General Motors have been great sponsors of football this season. You've been the corporate sponsor for the Victorian Football League and one of our major television sponsors, and we certainly appreciate the generous cooperation of General Motors with football throughout the season.
Thanks, Ron, and I'd just like to say General Motors is very proud of their sponsorship over the year, and particularly their association with Channel 7, which has been tremendous, and their support right throughout the season, and I think has made football in 1983 a tremendous season.
And I think a little later we'll be announcing the result of the Marks competition.
That's right,
and there'll be another magnificent General Motors product.
Certainly will.
To be awarded.
Sure.
Kenny Hunter, congratulations from all of us at World of Sport for the Mark of the Year.
Holden Mark of the Day and Mark of the Year were part of the Holden Premiership season.
Was basked in the limelight. Yesterday it was his son John who was one of the stars of the Hawks' record-breaking win over Essendon. He put Rene Kink out of the game quickly and with no fuss, and then set about gathering 19 kicks and 11 hand passes, as well as kicking a memorable goal in a brilliant solo performance. The Kennedy name continues to be linked with premiership success at Glenferrie, and it's our pleasure to welcome John to World of Sport as he talks about the 1983 Grand Final with Peter McKenna.
Well, congratulations, John. A fantastic performance yesterday. And how did you rate your own performance? And was that your best game ever for the Hawks?
Yes, I'd have to say it'd probably be pretty close to it, Peter. I was pretty happy with it after the game, to say the least. I suppose when you're playing a grand final, the ideal thing is to play to the best of your ability and to win the match. And I think I just about covered that yesterday. Personally, I was very happy with it. You know.
Well, you picked up Rene Kink, and Rene himself has had a tremendous record over the years against the Hawthorn Football Club, but particularly in a couple of games on Peter Knight's.
Yes, well, there's Rene, you can never underestimate Rene's abilities. He can take a team apart if he sets his mind to it, and it was a matter of me keeping my concentration, making sure that he didn't cut loose on us, because he was just the sort of player that could get them back into it. Unfortunately for me, he didn't at the time, but you can never underestimate him, never ever.
Now, your dad, of course, John Kennedy Sr., was a great name, a famous name at the Hawthorn Football Club. How hard was it for you as a young player first breaking into that senior side, and how did you feel the reaction of supporters was to that?
I've never really worried about it at all, really, Peter. It's never been obvious to me, whether it's been against me or for me. It's I think when I was there, when I first went down, Dad was on the selection committee, and I think, if anything, was at that stage harder for me to get a game than it would have been if he wasn't on the committee, because he couldn't show any bias towards me. So he'd have to be pretty hard on if I was on the borderline as to getting into the side. I think he'd have to say no, just to be the not to show any bias at all.
Did he talk football to you at home?
Oh yeah, well, you can't.
What was this story I heard about years ago, a couple of years ago? Did you have a broken toe or a broken leg, and he told you to stop whinging? Or?
No, I had a broken bone in the foot. It was nothing really, and. I was doing a bit of whinging, I must admit. It was only when I was in the secondary school days team, and he's never one for blokes who start whinging in front of him, so he said keep going.
Well, you're a commentator's nightmare, John. You and Colin Robertson, you both look alike. And how did you react yesterday when you were copping, when Timmy Watson went down the centre of the ground, and you copped the booing of the crowd for about half an hour after that? How did you feel?
You get used to these sort of things after a while, Peter. It's Robbo says that I steal his kicks, and he reckons that he steals my kicks. So,
well, you were both outstanding players yesterday. And what about a word for Yabby Jeans just before we finish, as Lou comes in?
Amen. I think everything that needs to be said about Yabby's been said today, and I've got the utmost respect for the man.
I bet your dad was pretty proud about your performance.
Oh, yes. Doesn't say much.
I know he does, but apparently at the match he was saying they were 87 points in front, and he was saying, pick up your man, get over there, pick up your man, because he can't change old John Kennedy. Thomas Hardy Grand Reserve Champagne for you, John. Yves St. Laurent Chai from Solways, and not forgetting this magnificent glue gun from Bostik. It's really great. I think you'll enjoy that. And also from Pro Timber and Hardware, you've got this magnificent Lufkin tape measure. And also from Weller, we've got this electric soldering iron. How about that for you?
Thanks,
Do a bit of handiwork around the place, Johnny.
John Kennedy, an outstanding game in the half-back flank in the grand final for the Hawks yesterday.
in their advice. 'Cause there's one day in September, show 'em your vice. 'Cause there's one day in September, don't let 'em in. Football's such a part of this whole town. Football's such a part of this whole town. And we know that you won't let us down.